What's up, folks? Casual Dad here with another Warhammer Combat Cards Warlord coverage breakdown. Today we're going to talk about Boss Snikrot, the Green Ghost, one of the kind of mid-rangey Ork Warlords and one of the most powerful. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But he's coming in at Epic. He's got that Furious Charge secondary trait once you get there, and that base trait of Fear, which makes him very, very sturdy in the end game. But usually he does hit the board a lot, but he's usually not doing all that much damage. But I will say that Furious Charge, once you get there, can, conditionally in some cases, be really, really potent in his endgame. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But coming in at 28 points, he's in the middle of the cost range. He's just getting to the point where he's not as much of a bruiser as some of the high-cost cards, but he's not your cheapest either. So you only want to take him if you're really going to use his ability. Luckily, you're probably going to, and we'll get into that in just a second. So of course, Primary Fear makes him a really good sticky piece and has a very decent base melee attack and good hit points, especially for having Fear. He only has the melee attack stat, so you don't want him against something that has other attack stats. And also he is on the somewhat squishy side. If someone has you in a lane, if they outlane you and they're hitting you from the sides, he can go down fairly quickly. So you do want to watch out for that. But the secret sauce and the reason why you bring Snikrot is because of his ability, which is Eyes Behind You. It's funny, I first read that as behind or beyond, which was funny, but it's behind because he's a sneaky, sneaky git. And this is when one of your Ork cards attacks a card that is not opposite them. If it's off lane, that attack deals an additional 100% damage. So it deals double damage. And that is with target acquired, it's with taunt, it's with barrage, it's with any of your psionic blast psychic attacks, death blow, and if you happen to kill something on deploy, such as with Furious Charge, look at that, then in your follow-up attack, if it is your turn, you can hit something else off lane as well. So Furious Charge, Precision Shot, Barrage, target acquired, Psionic Blast, these are all really good ways that you can really use this ability very well. But one thing I really want to highlight about that is most of those abilities are single use. Target acquired, once that target is gone or it wears off, it's gone. Furious Charge and Precision Shot only trigger the once, and Barrage and Psionic Blast trigger more, but they're on cards that could die in the interim and aren't as devastating as the others. So Snikrot is really, really good and one of probably the strongest Ork Warlords, but his biggest challenge is that he can run out of steam. So we're going to go ahead and play some games with him, just to kind of show you how it looks. And of course, so I just talked about some of the main abilities. I've got the key Barrage card here. I've got target acquired here. I've got Psionic Blast here. Furious Charge here. So a little bit of everything in here, just to kind of benefit from the most from his ability. And then on the defensive side, I've got the cheap Taunt card and the Medicae card to keep this stuff up and running for as long as possible. Of course, the other cards you're going to see a lot in your Snikrot decks are going to be your other target acquired cards, which I believe is this one. Nope, not that one. It's the other one. The one with the hat. That one, of course. Other target acquired card. A lot of the cards that work best with Snikrot are going to be your ranged cards, especially because that lets you build up a melee buff in the end so that he can actually hit as hard as he needs to in the final rounds, but can not necessarily be. You can do a melee-focused Snikrot with a lot of death blow. It's not bad, but because Barrage and Psionic Blast trigger every single attack, they're just better. They're just better to trigger his ability, just to go ahead and say that. Of course, again, you can go all melee, but it is the deliberate handicap way to play it. So, of course, this guy is also good, but he's a higher price point than either of the other target acquireds and is melee focused. So he's not bad. You can put him in and the other one and have 3 target acquired cards, so you avoid running out of steam. But yeah, I would use the other 2 first before you use him. Of course, if you are banking on your Precision Shot, the easy pick is going to be this guy, just because it hits so hard. Because if you're doing Precision Shot, your goal is to hit the thing in front of you, kill it, so that you then have the opportunity to hit to the off lane, so that you get that double damage, which is absolutely devastating. So by the same token, this is another really good piece, because once he gets that Furious Charge up to a certain rank, he then is doing some really nasty damage, and is one of the key pieces that has both a really high melee and a really high ranged attack, so he can benefit from either attack type, defensively and offensively. On the expensive side, though, and I think that this build is pretty good. So another good piece is going to be this one. once you get him to a high enough level, I think I'm one level away. Once I hit level 6, then I'll probably pop this guy in there for both the volume of hit points and then also the range damage plus that barrage. Of course, right now he's about on par with my 40 or 59 point card here. It's actually slightly worse and coming in at significantly higher cost. So once you get to the right point, it's really good to do Mad Mangler primarily, and then Mad Mangler with this, I think you can squeeze in here too as another deck build. So that's some of the basics about this. Another piece that you see very commonly in here is going to be your Bomb Squig. He's 5 points, has Furious Charge, and then also, again, does have Death Blow, which also benefits from Snikrot's ability. So he is hilariously powerful in a Snikrot deck if you have the 5 points to spend on him, especially if he's level 9 or higher, where he can really cause some chaos. So definitely a strong one to consider. But yeah, let's see it. Also, you do have a lot of cheaper barrage. That's Big Game Hunter. Where do we got it? Also Big Game Hunter. Ah, there it is, the Bubble Chucker. Barrage. So you have a couple other barrage things you can stick in there. It doesn't have to be the bigger, heavier ones, but the bigger, heavier ones do give you more staying power to kind of have more of an impact on the game. So we'll go ahead and play this. Apologies for losing my voice again. And again, I am still not laddering with orcs, so this is mostly to see how the mechanics of Snikrot's abilities work. I'm probably not going to see challenging matchups, but I have been lucky. Some of the matchups I've played, even at this rank, have been pretty good. So we've got a third rank trait already. That is a good sign. And this guy has a double benefit where he is both... Ooh, okay, all right. Level 8. Wow, somebody definitely bought the new cards. Pulling double duty there where he is both has taunt and a lot of hit points, also has a ranged attack, but also has ranged ready to beef up your shooting attacks. Wow, this is actually going to be kind of a rough matchup. But see right there, you saw that my primary lane only took 22, the others took 44. So that is 44 area effect damage off lane. That is a lot. So this is definitely one you want to include. If you have a decent level of Ed Zappa, he can really make a difference, especially if you have Inspire on the board. And that was a bit of a bummer. Another great thing about this guy is he triggers before your cards attack, so he can take out injured lanes, and then your other cards benefit from having an off-lane attack. And you can see just how much damage he does. It's absolutely devastating. And his on-lane attacks are really good, and also gives you Psychic as an alternative way to attack if you don't want to hit with melee or ranged for whatever reason. Which right now I don't, because this guy's hitting super hard. And my ranged attack at the moment is not terribly high. So that's going to take this out and give me an off lane. Oh man, that's a tough call. Yeah, we'll go here. And just to talk about why I did that. So that's going to kill the Kindsmith on the right, and then this will allow me to kill this guy from the off lane. Just to show how devastating Snikrot can be. It's just, and I don't even need that. I had enough of buff. I think I would have killed him either way. But that just really demonstrates how punchy that can be. All right, so it does look like Asgarth has limited deck points or a limited collection, even if the cards he's got are high level. Like, wow, I've never even seen a level 10 version of that thing. Whew. All right, but the scarier cards that I have in this deck haven't even played yet, like that one. Yeah, and so the predictor for what damage you're going to do is never right. So watch me do 130 something, 166, because target. So that's another important point to mention is that Snikrot's 100% double damage does also stack with things like target acquired. So target acquired makes that instead of additional 100% damage, it's additional 120 to 40% damage. And now in this one, I'm not even going to do the off-lane attack because I've got a great big giant attack charged up and should be able to wipe this in a single go. Ooh, it's his turn. Yeah, we're going to do Gosar in a bit. I'm actually excited to do that one. And not Splat. Oh, there it is, Splat. Okay. Yeah, because even off-lane, even a weaker 17 attack does a lot more damage with Snikrot. So that's one game. We're going to play the second just to go ahead and run through this, and we'll talk through how it works. And there were a lot of different things that came up in that matchup. But you did see how near the end it was a beneficial matchup. I had a lot of advantages there, but still, I was kind of running out of my options in the end. Lost my Psyker, already used my Furious Charge, used one of my taunts. I have another taunt in there. I did still have my big barrage tank on the board, but it still was looking a little bit thin. And that could easily have turned against me. Ooh, against Tau. We'll go for the defensive shooting attack. And Snikrot does have high initiative, so you do tend to go first, which is nice. But because he's one of those cards that relies on positioning and deployment and things like, ooh, man, I'm glad I did that move. That big game hunter would have been bad against this guy. But yeah, because he's one that relies on positioning and really gets a lot of mileage out of target acquired, you actually want your Snikrot to go second. Because if you go first, you're more likely to deploy your target acquired in the same turn your opponent deploys a taunt, for example, which is not what you want. Nice. And I'll comfortably wipe that. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is going to be much easier because I already have my ranged card on the board. I had my taunt on the board. And I'm against Tau, who are really going to lean on ranged attacks. And again, I got lucky dodging the big game hunter, although, wow. Okay, cool. I really did get lucky dodging the big game hunter. I guess I couldn't have gone to the right because I already had a card in that lane, but yeah, we'll go to New Psychic. Do that range debuff, which is nice. And he's probably going to shoot me, and then one of these cards is going to heal up to full. Okay, good. That was awesome, because now my area effect is going to kill the middle guy and the front one. And then all I got is you. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you want against Farsight, because if I'd killed one of those and then Farsight redeployed, he would have healed both of the others to full health. So that worked out. And this was a really easy matchup. And now, of course, from the Ark here, this guy's going to do 140, 152 damage, which will be most of it after doing 80 damage. Yeah. This guy just did almost 50 damage in melee. Yeah. So, yeah, Snikrot is scary. But again, Akaran is really scary for him. A heavy shielded or heavy fear deck really gives him trouble. Not necessarily because it protects the offlane, but if I had a fear card in front of my Psyker, that would reduce his total damage across the board. So yeah, those are things you want to watch out for, and ways you can counter Snikrot is by focusing down the really scary key pieces, because that is how you reduce Snikrot's overall threat, because you're a lot more likely in a Snikrot deck to see a couple power pieces and then a lot of support pieces. And if you take out one or two of the power pieces, the rest of the deck kind of crumbles. So that is both how you play against it and exactly how to build and avoid getting countered if you're playing with it. So there you have Boss Snikrot. Hopefully that was helpful, and until next time.